Gordon Harcourt, as my first producer, was quite firm with me. He's just such a beautiful man, but also very firm, and he's very clear about how stories should be told. And so I got a very quick and fantastic education in journalism from Gordon. And you know, I guess this was quite a good way for it. At the time I was 22 or 23 or something. In fact, I had to lie about my age. I was considered to be too young to be on this particular program at that point. And I was young and I was naive. And so having Gordon produce me was one of the best ways I could have started my career in journalism, really. He's just such an excellent journalist himself, an excellent storyteller, and he knows how to get the best out of reporters. And so it was a really interesting education on the job, learning on the job, and trying to impress Gordon and trying to impress my older colleagues and prove that it was okay and good that I was there. I really love this program and loved the format before I came to it. I've loved that format since I was a child. We would gather around as a family to watch the long-form current affairs program, whatever it was in those days. So I've always had an affinity with that kind of storytelling. I think that's what it is. I love storytelling, and I am grateful for the way that we tell our news, but there is something about having the time to craft a story and to really put all of your resources into something that's not going to disappear after a minute and a half. It's there for 10, 12, 14 minutes where you can really tell a person's story and really honour it and give it the time that it deserves. And I love to write as well. So, it was a mix of being able to write and craft and do it in the medium that I enjoy, which is broadcast. The thing I love about Sunday is that it's our stories for our people. And that's what our audience loves as well. They love to see the locals. The foreign stories, while important, don't resonate in the same way that our local stories do. And that's because we love to see ourselves and our neighbours and our parents and our friends and the guy next door. We love to see ourselves and see ourselves reflected back. And I think that's actually an interesting evolution, because I don't think we always used to love that. I think we were quite cringy about ourselves for way too long. And now we celebrate ourselves much more than we did when I started out in this industry. And that's reflected in the ratings. We see our local stories always rate more strongly than the foreign's, which is really gratifying. I was talked into it by the producer at the time, Damien Comerford, who said, "Look, this will be fun, and it will be your program, and you can do with it what you want, and you really can have you can experiment with it." And so he kind of talked me around. I still went into it thinking, it's tabloid, and in fact that attitude worked in my favour, because what started out as quite a dismissive sort of attitude, but while I was, some would consider, unprofessionally fronting the program by looking snootily down my nose at the programs and coming back to do the link with a look on my face, it actually ended up being something that viewers liked, and that they understood too, that it was tabloid and it was fun. And the more I relaxed into that and thought, well, you know what, we don't need to be super serious about everything. We can actually engage with the stories that we have. They're not always going to be serious. Sometimes they're going to be silly things about, men who have addictions to real life dolls and that sort of thing. Marae is a real challenge for me, because it reminds me all the time that I don't kōrero Māori fluently, and that's actually partly why I do it, because I need to have that reminder and that sort of impetus, I guess, to stick with it and to stay on that journey and to learn the reo. I did 2 nights of Tonight up until quite recently, actually, and Greg Boyd did the other 3. And Tonight's a really fun bulletin to work on, because 6 o'clock is very serious. You don't want to. You just have more freedom, I think, off peak to tell a story in a different way, and And tonight gives you that opportunity to do that. And you notice on Breakfast as well with Rawdon and Ali, they have a lot of fun on that show. And so the bookend of the day from Breakfast is, of course, tonight. And there's a kind of a, I think on that show, although we're very serious about telling the news, and there's no messing with the stories, we can put a different spin on it, and you can make it a bit lighter. You can make it a bit more conversational, and in some cases, you can be a bit silly with it and, you know, just relax and have more fun with it. And I really enjoyed that about tonight, and it felt a little bit, it reminded me a little bit of the fun that we used to have on 2020. So I actually love that. I love the fact that the different bulletins have a different flavour to them, and each one of them has its benefits. It was an incredible responsibility at the time because I wanted to speak to it felt like I was speaking to my people in Canterbury, and I wanted them to feel that there was a calm space in this, you know, this madness where they could find out what was going on, where there weren't dramatics from me, that it was about me relating as much of the information as I could in as calm and reassuring manner as I could. And yeah, I feel a bit shaky just remembering it actually, because it was such an important day, and at the same time I didn't know where certain family members of mine were. I had a basic faith that they would be okay, and luckily that proved to be true. So I didn't know where my loved ones were at that moment, and so I knew that there were a whole lot of other people in Christchurch, tens of thousands of people who wouldn't know where their loved ones were. And so, you know, I had this basic faith that my people would be okay, and so I wanted to, you know, have that attitude as I covered the earthquake. Yeah, and hopefully it had that effect. So before I went to TVNZ, I did quite a bit of work in lifestyle actually. So this is kind of return to that, you know, sort of storytelling. Kiwi Living kind of in a way feels a little bit like going back to that time when I was doing lifestyle. So it's not completely foreign to me. It is a bit of a challenge though, because it's again a different way of telling a story, and but I'm loving it. I love it. It's such fun. And Mike and Leanne and Luke, who I spend, you know, every Friday night with, are really great people, and I'm enjoying, you know, their knowledge and what they bring to the program. I would love to get out into the field a little bit more. That's just my nature anyway, because you can have fun telling a story out in the field. But you know, that's okay. I can deal with that. It's all right. I like being in the studio too. I like hearing what their stories are, and I love seeing what the other reporters have come up with, Erin and Tony and Matt. So yeah, no, it's good. It's fine. I've got, as every journalist seems to have, a screenplay underway, and so one day, and hopefully not in the too distant future, there'll be a film. I'm going to say film, I was going to say a film script, but I'm going to project forward to film. So, and maybe more than one. I'm going to say more than one. Let's say 3 films. 3 films in my lifetime, I'll be a happy girl.